Hi, my name is Ziggy Alberts. I'm a coastal folk songwriter, free surfer, and environmental enthusiast from the east coast of Australia. I travel the world playing music, surfing, and adventuring with my friends, whilst discovering the good in everywhere we go. From cities to countrysides, fjords to coastlines, this is Net Positive.
So shit the gold from your toes and let these
On the beautiful Norfolk Island, we've just spent an amazing week surfing, diving, and playing shows. We've managed to leave everything we usually do for Net Positive up to the last morning, so now we're on our way to go meet Darles at the radio station, talk with Zach about his photography, and meet up with Emily about her goat farming. We've got about 4 hours, so let's do this, Sam. So we're here on Norfolk Island, and where I guess this whole thing kind of came together and why we decided we should come to Norfolk Island was meeting up with Mr. Zach Saunders. Zach, how are you today?
Good, Zig.
That was really official. How are you doing today? Zach, where are we?
So, we're in one of the old convict ruins called the Crank Mill. This is where they used to get the convicts on the chain gangs and crank out the wheat and corn maze. So, yeah, we're lucky enough we're in here chilling in an old convict building. 100%.
When do you feel like that started to change? What in terms of when was in history? When was it time that went from being a convict settlement to actually being something that was a beautiful place to live?
Oh, well, after the convict settlement, the bounty who lived in Pitcairn at the time, they overpopulated Pitcairn Island, so the Queen gave them, I don't know what reason, but gave them beautiful Norfolk Island. So yeah, it's I guess that's when it changed, is what it is today.
So, and you've grown up on the island?
Yeah, so I grew up probably half my life here and then half the life in Australia, and travel a lot, and I've been back home for about 8 or 9 years now. So
absolutely. And I was going to say, I know you have to leave to come back to really sometimes truly appreciate places. Yeah. And I'm sure now that you're kind of, especially with what you do as a photographer, that now this is a place that you're very, very proud of.
Yeah, for sure. I think you do have to leave just to realise how good we do have it. Like, I always loved home, but now that I'm back, and especially now that I'm a photographer, and like Norfolk's such a small place, but every day I find something new and something beautiful. Like every day I'll see something and it'll just completely blow me away. And Norfolk's only 8 kilometres by 5 kilometres, so it's pretty small. But the beauty's just so rich over here that it sort of blows me away every day. So lucky.
And was there a moment where you realised photography was the thing that was going to be your now driving force?
Yeah, well, I got quite sick with depression probably 6 years ago, and for me, my only escape was picking up my camera and coming from surfing. I always wanted to still be in the waves and the water. So once I was in the water with my camera shooting the waves and stuff, it just took me to a different place. And now that I'm lucky that I'm in a pretty good place, and now it's my career, which I didn't really have outside of trying to surf. So yeah, very lucky. Being an artist, knowing yourself, people don't see that as a long-term career, but for me, life's all about living it the way you want to live it, and not to be having to get up and do the 9 to 5 grind, and just do the work we do on our farm and the photos, and be at home with our little boy. It's everyone's dream. So I try and encourage kids, whether it's when I go up to the schools and do talk, or just kids in general, to follow their dreams, and not everything's about money. We're so rich in lifestyle here. So
what do you feel like about Norfolk? One thing that people don't know yet, that people are only just discovering, from the outside world, is there something that you'd like to share with people about Norfolk that they might not know?
For me, I think Norfolk is being marketed so long towards the elderly. We call it the newlyweds and nearly deads, but I call it the Ibiza for old people. But there's so much to do for young people. Example for you boys have been here, and we've been surfing, we've been I was out on the boat. There's good freediving, good fishing, good surfing, good hiking. The place is just insane. It's made for people that want to get out and do something. So for me, I think that's probably pretty untapped on Norfolk, and yeah, it's just a good place altogether.
Absolutely. And where do you see, what do you see the future, like the positive future for Norfolk, if it was, from what you're doing and working with tourism, where do you see the positive future of Norfolk going in your mind?
Well, I think
What would you like to see change, and what would you like to see keep growing?
I don't think there's too much I'd like to see change. Just probably more. It would be good to see some younger people here enjoying the place, of course. But tourism being Norfolk's main economy, that's sort of where it has to go. But just to see people seeing how you should live, that's probably pretty exciting, and people don't really get to see that. So, just people coming over and seeing how beautiful Norfolk is, seeing how you should be eating sustainable, how you should be living. I don't know. It's just.
He's good on that.
So Em, while you're surrounded by your goats, do you mind telling us a bit about how you got started, who you are, and what you do here?
So I'm Emily from Hilly Goat.
Yes.
He
And
gave me a kiss.
give her a kiss. So yeah, we got started about 2 years ago.
Yep.
And the goal was just to live from our property and to make beautiful goat's cheese and be pretty much self-sufficient. And
She's gonna eat you.
it's a good lifestyle and a good way to raise a family working from home. Charlie's been here the whole way with us and milks the goats with us, and as you can see, he's very hands-on.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you done anything with goats prior, or is it just?
No, so these are the only goats on the island.
Wow.
So I applied for a Churchill Fellowship, which are research grants from the Australian government.
Yep.
And I got one of those in 2011, and I went to work at 2 properties in Australia.
Yep.
One in the Mornington Peninsula and one near Bendigo.
Yep.
And so that was my first experience with really even meeting a goat.
Yeah.
And practice making cheese, and then I came home and just started the whole process of bringing in some goats and building it up from there.
And what is it about goat's milk or goat's dairy that you've been inspired by, opposed to, for example, in Australia, why aren't you doing this with cows, for example?
Yeah, well, we always had cattle. I grew up. My grandparents were the vets on the island for 25 years.
Yeah.
So always been around animals, and we always had beef cattle, but the cattle are a lot harder to handle than goats, and the meat, I was not really into the whole meat industry.
Know what's the biggest difference between responsibly sourced dairy, what you're doing here, and the way that a lot of commercial dairy farming is done?
I guess I don't really know a lot about the commercial side of things, other than I know a lot of commercial farming practices are really awful, and my biggest thing growing up with grandparents as vets, animal welfare is really important to me.
Yeah.
So for us, it's just making sure that the goats have the best life. They're our pets. They've all got names, and they've got these beautiful free-range paddocks. They're fed off. So we're pretty much self-sufficient on our property, so we're growing all our own fruit and veggies, and the goats fit in really well with that. So all this stuff that's growing in our paddock, like the banana leaves, the mulberry, and then from our veggie garden, carrot tops and beetroot tops and the corn, all that stuff that's wastage goes straight to the goats. So they've got this wonderful healthy diet and this beautiful lifestyle, and there's just no stress to them. They're really pretty happy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a massive thing. A lot of farming practices, despite not having a lot of involvement with, but a lot of would you with goat's milk and goat's cheese, is it considered still dairy, or what would you say?
Yeah, it is still dairy, but the difference. Yeah, the difference is the fat in goat's milk is 1/5 the size of cow's milk.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for our bodies to digest cow's milk. It takes 2 weeks for us to digest cow's milk and 24 hours to digest goat's milk. Wow. So that's the difference of what's going on inside our stomachs, and we're just so much happier. It's so much closer to human's milk, the goat's milk. So that's why a lot of people that can't tolerate cow's milk are fine on the goat's milk. And because it's such a fine silky milk, that's why it makes that beautiful, soft, silky cheese and soaps and skincare and all of that.
And what do you think from milking the goats through to actually it being, either goat's cheese or curd or being one of your skin products you do with the local honey here? What's the time for it being, from collection to?
I'm just making fresh cheeses at the moment. We're still very new, so I've only got 3 milkers at the moment.
Yeah.
But they're doing so well. They're giving me 6 litres of milk per day per goat, which is really good and shows how much good nutrition's going into them. But so my fresh cheese takes about 2 days from. We do a make the day of milking.
Yeah.
So we'll milk, and then that afternoon I'll turn it into cheese, and it takes a night to set up into curds and whey, and then a day to drain. So about 2 days from start to finish, and then it's ready to eat.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And obviously, part of what you're doing, I think you hope to inspire others to kind of become a little more self-sufficient and
I
practice
do.
responsible animal welfare. That's you're collecting. You're doing this with the goats, but it's not at the cost of their welfare. Is that something that you want to inspire other people?
Yeah, definitely. Like animal welfare is really foremost for my whole family. So. And we have visitors out here. We get the tourists out here, and I do tours, and we show them how everything works. And I hope that people do. I do inspire people to live more sustainably, and basically it's just being at one with your environment and just living a healthy and sustainable life. It makes it makes you happy. Everyone's happy.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for taking time with us. And just for the people who don't know, who aren't familiar with your everyday today, how do you go from getting the goats over in the paddock to coming getting milked here? What's the process like?
It's easy. They love it. So if we're late for work, they let us know. They start calling us out. So we milk at 5 o'clock every morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the girls will all just come and stand at the gate, and they'll just walk down here, and they come up and get their pellets, and then they get milked with the machine here. So they're just like dogs, so they love being around us. So they get a bit upset if they don't have contact with us, once or twice a day. So we give them all the affection and love they need.
Amazing.